Kyushu is located in southwestern Japan and is one of Japan's 4 main islands. However, it's also definitely one of the most underrated areas. So in this video, I'll be showing you some of my recommendations for first-timers in Kyushu, my favorite local spots, activities you can do, and of course, delicious food. So who's ready to explore Kyushu with me? I started my Kyushu trip bright and early, flying from Tokyo down to Beppu city in Oita prefecture. It wasn't the best condition when I arrived, but hey, that's what happens when you travel sometimes, right? Me and my friends decided we needed to wake up a little bit, so our first stop was this high ropes course in the middle of the forest. There's also a course that is much lower for kids, but come on, how hard can the adults one really be? I wore the wrong shoes.
2,000 years later.
You're almost there! Just one step! Oh! Next, we went into the hot spring area of Beppu city. Beppu is one of Japan's most famous hot spring cities, and it offers a range of baths to be enjoyed, like the ordinary hot water bath, mud bath, sand bath, and steam bath. If it's your first time here, you could also go around to the 7 hells of Beppu. They display steaming ponds of various colors and other hydrothermal activity. Just remember, these are only to look at and you can't actually go in and take a dip.
This looks like very spicy ramen.
The hells are presented in a rather touristy way, but each of the 7 hells has its own unique characteristics. This one here was my favorite. Another very popular thing to do in Beppu is to steam your own food with the hot spring steam. It is said to be healthy due to the gentle, additive-free cooking method.
What if I just dropped everything down? Would you guys take me?
I'm gonna stop!
Wow, that is so tender.
But if you want a more local experience, why not wander around the little streets and pop into whichever shop that catches your eye? I popped into this shop here.
ここがですね、110年ほどの長屋の一角になります。で、こちらがですね、大分県内の作家さんや企業さんのものを中心に取り扱いをしているセレクトショップになります。
After exploring the town, we went to check in at our hotel and enjoyed a delicious hotel buffet and all-you-can-eat Oita Wagyu. The next day, we went to Shikanoshima Island in Fukuoka City.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are in Fukuoka and we're starting our day cycling.
We rented bicycles from this shop and the lady also showed us a map of the recommended routes.
I love cycling and passing Japanese houses. Look at the persimmons.
I always love exploring a place by bike, and this time we took the scenic route and cycled along the coast. Fukuoka will also be the host of the 19th FINA World Championships 2022 Fukuoka and 19th FINA World Masters Championships 2022 Kyushu, so I'll put the link down below if you want to join or watch any of the races. Shikanoshima Island is also known for their fresh seafood, and this restaurant here had the biggest and freshest tuna I have ever had. Next, we headed into the city to this lantern shop to make our own lantern.
当店は博多で120年以上商売をしている提灯屋です。普段は主に居酒 屋や神社、お祭りの提灯を作っています。絵付け体験を始めた理由は、日本の方だけでなくて海外の方にももっと提灯を身近に感じてもらいたいからです。
I just finished painting my lantern, but look, it turned out great. You guys should try it if you're here, and it makes a great souvenir.
Just a short walk from the lantern shop is a hostel where you can rent out Japanese traditional kimono. Another thing you can do while you're in the city is to go on one of the Nakasu River cruises. It's 30 minutes and only 1,000 yen.
屋台は最大で25軒ほど並ぶようになっています。
After the cruise, we headed over to a street food store. These tiny food stores are scattered around town, and I always go every time I'm in Fukuoka.
おすすめは何ですか？
おすすめはラーメンなんですけど、
はい。
好きなの食べてください。
コーヒーラーメンを1つと、
飲み物良かったですか？
大丈夫です。
I love the atmosphere inside this tiny store, and it's just so fun to eat here, and you can make friends easily with the people around you. We headed to the Christmas market next to walk off some of our food. Every year they hold this Christmas market outside of Hakata Station, so check it out if you're ever around Fukuoka in December. We stayed at this hotel in the city that showcased a lot of the craft and artwork done by the local artists, including the lantern that was done by the owner of the lantern shop we visited earlier. The next day we took the bullet train down to Kumamoto city, we rented some electronic bikes to explore the city, and we stopped by Kumamoto Castle to see how everything was 5 years after the earthquake.
石垣を全部積み直しの準備のために改修してるんです。で、これをもとに崩れた石垣がどの位置にあるかっていうのを全部選定して、で分かったものはああいう風に黄色で、これはどの面の何番目の石ですよって分かったものは全部ああいう風にされてます。
Even though it's still going to take Kumamoto 16 years to be fully rebuilt, it was nice to see the main tower back up again. We also stopped by the Castle Museum at Waku Wakuza and checked out some of the interactive ways to learn about the castle. There were also many food and souvenir shops there, so I couldn't resist not trying out all the street food.
Wow! Kirei! Kumamon! Here you go, you can have one bite and now my bite. I'm sorry I ate your head. Look at that.
In the afternoon, we headed to our next location on the city tram. The Kumamoto City Tram is a convenient way to get around town if you don't want to walk or cycle. Suisenji Jojuin Garden is a garden set around a pond filled with spring water which flows underground from Mount Aso. Thanks to Mount Aso, citizens of Kumamoto City can use pure and clean groundwater from their water tap. This pond is one of the highlights of Kumamoto City, which is known as the world-class pure groundwater city. You can have a nice peaceful stroll here enjoying the pond and the beautifully maintained garden. Next to the Japanese garden, there is also another lake that has spring water flowing underground from Mount Aso. It's also a nice place to take a stroll. Next, we headed to this local sweet store and took one of the Japanese sweets making classes. It was a lot of fun learning how to make these traditional Japanese sweets, and it's not as hard as it looks because the teacher teaches you step by step, so it's very easy to understand. For dinner, we headed to the Shimotori shopping arcade area. This is where a lot of restaurants and bars are, so it gets quite busy at night. We went to a Japanese izakaya which also offers a vegetarian course. At night, we stayed in this beautiful traditional Japanese house that was renovated recently into a hostel. Everything from the rooms to all the hand-picked furniture was so delicate and beautiful. Early the next morning, we took a train to Arita in Saga prefecture. A Japan trip in my eyes is never complete without a visit to the countryside. Arita is a small town where porcelain was first produced in Japan. It's known throughout Japan for its pottery, so most of the town's attractions are somehow related to pottery. If you take a stroll around the town's main street, you can really get a feel of what the town is like. While the merchants of Arita sold pottery along the town's main street, the potters themselves lived in the back alleys and built high walls to conceal the techniques from competitors. These walls, which can still be seen today, were made out of old bricks and discarded pottery and porcelain pieces. Also in the town, you can walk to this shrine that was built in the mid-1600s.
There's a train track right here in front of the shrine.
It was the first ever shrine I have ever seen where the torii gate was made out of porcelain. For lunch, we went to this beautiful cafe that displayed over 2,000 cups and saucers made from Arita porcelain. You can even find the one you like and get your drink served in it.
Wow, listen to that. It's all porcelain. Wow, it's so beautiful.
After lunch, we visited Arita Porcelain Park. There are many things you can do here, including making your own Arita porcelain and taking a tour of a sake, shochu, and beer brewery. In the afternoon, our farm stay host picked us up and took us back to his house.
違います。でもこういう風景が大好きなんです。
This was the guest house that we stayed in, and this was my room. Next, we went to the back to pick some vegetables for dinner.
大きいですね。やったー。It's almost as big as you.
取れました。
おー、すごい。すごくないですかこれ。そう、ちっちゃいのがいる。かわいい。
It's always nice staying in the countryside and getting to meet some of the locals and experiencing a bit of the everyday life.
美味しそう。
これヒゲ。名前が。
The last stop on our Kyushu trip is Nagasaki City. We started our trip visiting the Gunkanjima Digital Museum. Gunkanjima is a small island located 20 kilometers from Nagasaki port. Until 1974, the island served as a coal mine, and more than 5,000 residents lived on this island, making it the highest population density in history recorded worldwide. You can learn about the history of the island in a very fun and interactive way here at the museum before joining a cruise to go and see the actual island. Due to the high waves on the day, we couldn't go on the island, but on a good day you can go on the island and see it from a distance. For lunch, we went to the port area, which is one of my favorite areas in Nagasaki. Next, we went to Dejima, the only port in Japan that was open to Western trade during the isolation period.
今はですね、1636年にできている人工の島になるんですけども、最初はですね、出島はポルトガルの人たちが住んでました。で、そのオランダの人たちが出島を使っているんですけども、鎖国って言われている時代ですね、218年間、オランダだけが使っていた貿易の拠点がこの出島になります。
Nagasaki is a city full of history, and in many parts of the city you can still see until this day the Chinese, Portuguese, and Dutch influences left behind. One of the things I love about the scenery of Nagasaki is that there are all these little houses on the hills. And around Glover Garden, there are all these nice little paths you can walk up to see the view. You can also stop by this church near Glover Garden as well. Our last stop on this trip was to Mount Inasa, a 333-meter high mountain close to Nagasaki city center. The summit can be reached by ropeway, bus, or car, and it offers great views over the city. It's also one of the new 3 cities with the most spectacular night views in the world, alongside Shanghai and Monaco. I hope you guys enjoyed this Kyushu guide for first timers. Let me know down below which spot you want to visit the most.